What up, y'all? It's your boy, the MMA Mechanic, and today we're going to do a prediction video for UFC Fight Night Perth, Australia. We're going to start with the prelims, and we're going to go all the way down through the main event, where we will find out if Dominick Reyes will show Carlos Ulberg how to be an exciting fighter. That's what we're going to find out. We'll find out later in the video, so stay tuned. We are going to jump right into it. The prelims: Brando Pericic versus Elisha Ellison. Brando Pericic, he is very athletic, but he's also very large. He's 6'5", 265 pounds. He fights out of city kickboxing. The guy is a tank of a human being. He's a giant human being. Moves very well for a man his size, though. Very, very well. Alicia Ellison is also a tank of a human being. 5'11", 265 pounds, much more compact, but also moves very well. And I think has a better submission ability. So if the fight goes to the ground, that could be interesting. Um, but I do think that, I mean, both of these guys move very well. Both of these guys are athletic, power punchers. Both of these guys have a couple of knockouts on their records. So Brando Pericic is 4-1. I think he has like 3 KOs. Alicia Ellison's 5-1. I think he has like 3 KOs and a submission. Yeah. I did watch Brando Pericic fight. He fought some guy named Kevin Vital, and I mean he was getting slam takedowns. He was blitzing, and they press forward and they try and knock you out. That's what they do. They're gonna collide. I am gonna pick Brando Pericic just because, yeah, no, he seems to be the more rangier guy. He is very light on their feet, and I think he can use his range and distance to win this one. On to the next. We're gonna go to Michelle Montague versus Luana Carolina. Now, Michelle Montague, I'm a big fan of this girl, man. I was looking at the bottom half, those legs and those thighs, and I was very, very impressed. She's 6-1. She's coming over from the PFL, 5'9". She fights out of American Top Team. Big, big legs, man. Very strong base. Very strong base. Very athletic. She fights out of the southpaw stance. I watched her fight versus Daniel Wynn where she German suplexed her. I don't know if you know who Chris Benoit is from the WWE. Rest in peace. Um, she German suplexed that girl badly. Picked her up over her shoulders and German suplexed that girl. She got the body triangle in, threatened multiple rear naked chokes, was pounding the girl with elbows and punches from behind. Yeah, she has strong double legs. Great grappler, and she's fighting Luana Carolina. Now, Luana is interesting because Luana has a 74% takedown defense, and we saw that in her fight versus Lucy Pedilova. However, Lucy was able to get her to the ground, and the thing is, if Michelle Montague is able to get you to the ground, she seems like the type of girl that's just when she gets you there, she keeps you there. That's what I've noticed in her fight that I watched. When she gets you on the ground, she keeps you on the ground. So that's where I'm a little worried for Luana. Luana does have some really good kicks. She stays rangy. She does know how to take the take. She does know how to defend takedowns. And one of the things that I do like about Luana is I saw her throwing up some knees when Lucia Puedalova was blitzing on a takedown. I saw her throwing up some knees up the middle. And yeah, I can see her potentially. I mean, hey, maybe she will land that knee. She has the more UFC experience. Maybe she uses that to set up some sort of knee setup when Michelle Montague enters in on a double leg takedown, which she's very good at. So, but with that being said, one thing I also wanted to say was Luana Carolina. We also saw her fight uh, Julija Sterilenko, which is the armbar lady, another good grappler, and Julija had her on the ground. And was threatening armbars, and she got pounded out and finished. I think Luana finished her with ground and pound. I think, yeah, I think it was that fight or the Lucy Puedalova. I can't remember which one she got to finish in, um, but Luana, she has missed weight before, so she needs to work on that. But other than that, listen, I think Michelle Montague is just a physical. Just she's too athletic. She's the bigger fighter. She's 5'9" to Luana Carolina's 5'6". She's a bigger, stronger fighter. I don't think that the women that Luana Carolina has fought, their takedown ability is as good as Michelle Montague, and I think that's what's gonna eventually get Michelle Montague the decision. victory. I do think that Luana is going to be able to defend the submission, the rear naked choke, which is inevitable that Michelle will go for. But I do still have Michelle Montague winning that fight. You know what? I'm going to switch it up. Michelle Montague by rear naked choke. I just I just gave all the reasons why she wouldn't win by rear naked choke, and then I switch and change my mind. I just think Michelle is just, she seems very, very athletic. I know it's not UFC competition, but you could tell. You know, you could tell. And last week's card, the last card, a lot of the non UFC fighters won. So maybe this is a trend or something. So we're gonna go with Michelle. On to the next one. We got Rolando Bedoya versus Jamie Mullarkey. Two terrible fighters. Now, you know what's interesting? I went back and watched Jamie Mullarkey fight Michael Johnson, and he won that fight. He won a striking match against Michael Johnson. He did get rocked, though, in that fight. He has absolutely no chin. He's been finished in, like, I mean, what, 4 of his last 5? Finished or at least dropped, you know? Rolando Bedoya is garbage, though, you know? Jai Herbert pieced him up badly. You know, Rolando Bedoya doesn't angle off when he's, Jai Herbert's boxing is incredible, and we saw that on full display against Rolando Bedoya. Now, one thing I will give Rolando is the kicking game is pretty good. The kicking game is pretty good. I don't know that he has the KO ability to KO Jamie Mullarkey, and that makes me want to consider picking Jamie Mullarkey, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can ever pick Jamie Mullarkey again. Even though the guys that he was getting KO'd by, Huffy and all those guys, um, are really impressive KO artists. I'm gonna go Rolando Bedoya by decision on this one. I just can't pick Jamie Mullarkey. I think his chin's gone now. You know, his chin is gone. He's either getting finished or dropped in his fights, and I don't like that. Not that, Rolando Bedoya doesn't have power, but I'm still going to pick Rolando Bedoya by decision. On to the next one. Colby Thicknesse versus Josias Musasa. Um, we saw Colby Thicknesse fight Alessandro Taporia. Both of these guys have had one UFC fight. I think they both lost. Um, yeah, we saw Colby Thicknesse get walked down by Alessandro Pantoja. He got dropped by Alessandro Pantoja. If you don't know, Alessandro Pantoja is Elliot Taporia's brother. So yeah, he walked down Colby Thicknesse, dropped him, German suplexed him. Um, you know, Colby Thicknesse though, and I will say this, he does move around well on the outside. He's very lateral with his movement, and he had to be because Alessandro Tempora, as I said before, fights like Ilya and has power. Um, so yeah, um, but Colby Thicknesse, he got dropped by Alessandro Pantoja. I watched one of his fights on regional scene versus Sem Kebembo, and he got dropped in that fight too. He won the fight, but he got dropped in that fight too. So yeah, he's not showing the ability to take power, and Josias Musasa has power. Okay. Now Josiah did get rear naked choked out cold by Carlos Vera. Maybe not out cold. He just got rear naked choked. He lost a submission to Carlos Vera. But he's very powerful, a lot of first round KOs on the contender series versus Atari Tanzalobi. Atari was, that was a good fight. Atari, but the reason why I'm highlighting that fight is because Atari fights on the back foot a lot like Colby Thicknesse was against Alessandro Taporia. So I could see Colby Thicknesse having some level of success, but I think Josiah is going to rebound here and get a KO finish versus Colby Thicknesse. On to the next one. We got Cameron Rowston versus Andre Petroski. Cameron's impressive. He's good, man. He's good. He fought Terrence Finney in his first contender. I just watched him fight his second contender series guy. The first time he was on a contender series, he fought Terrence Finney, and Torres was able to take him down, but he was able to get back up, which is impressive. Torres Finney is a tank of a human being, and he gets takedowns. All that's all he goes for in fights. And he took him down, and Cameron Rowston was able to get back up. Tall guy, rangy guy, 6'3". He's a 78-inch reach to Andre Petroski's 74-inch reach. He throws a lot of head kicks. He has a mean right cross. I mean, he hits very very hard. Um, I watched him fight a guy, Brennan Holmes, and yeah, he was cracking him with that right straight, that right cross, over and over and over and over again. He shows an ability to get up from takedowns. Um, yeah, I just think that he's just going to be too rangy for Andre Petroski. Now, Andre Petroski, he had a good, impressive win versus Rodolfo Vieira. We know he's had fights versus Gerald Mearshart, but I watched him fight Edmund Shabazian, and Edmund Shabazian was able to stay on the outside, stay at distance, and just land strikes, pepper him up from distance, and win the fight. Andre Petroski got in on takedowns, but you could tell that he was very hesitant. He was very weary of the strikes that were coming his way, and I think this Cameron Rowston guy has the striking ability to do the same against Andre Petroski. I'm picking Cameron Rowston by decision. Yeah, I'm gonna pick him by decision versus Andre Petroski. But Cameron Rowston, yeah, he's impressive. A very rangy guy, 78-inch reach. He has a massive reach advantage. He has the height reach advantage. So I'm going with him in this fight. On to the next one. We got Jonathan Micallef against Oban Elliot. Now, Jonathan Micallef, if you watch him fight Kevin Doucette, it was very impressive. Very hard kicking game. Not the fastest guy in the world, but he has incredible power in that kick, man. That high kick, that body kick, that leg kick, 77-inch reach to Oban Elliott's 72-inch reach. They're both 6 foot tall. Oban Elliott's just not very good. I mean, he fought Bezel Hafez and knocked him out with the overhand right, but he just he's 3-0 to start off. He's 3-0 to start off to start off his goodness gracious. He's 3-0 to start off his UFC career. He did lose to Ken Ko, so he's 3-1. But you could just, I mean, Jonathan Micallef, way more athletic. I think, he has better kicks. And I think he's going to hurt him with those kicks. I mean, all he was doing was throwing that head kick and that body kick versus Kevin Doucette. I think he dropped him. Yeah, he dropped him badly with the head kick. Badly with the head kick. It was really, really bad. And I think that we're going to see the same. I think he's going to knock out Oban Elliott. The guy has real power, man. And I'm going to go with Jonathan Micallef in this fight. Loma LookBoonmee versus Elisha Thainara. Elisha Thainara. Now, Elisha, she submitted Molly McCann, rear naked choked her, and then jumped on the floor and threw it back. Um, she's a wild, interesting human. She comes out there. She was coming out to her entry song and was just dancing and having fun, staying loose. You could tell she's in there having a good time, and she just kind of beat Molly McCann everywhere. She's strong. She was able to get the takedown pretty easily. And once she got her down, she just rear naked choked her out. Um, Although maybe Molly was able to get back up, but either way, she got the rear naked choke, and it was pretty impressive when she got it done in the first round. Loma LookBoonmee has been fighting for a while. Loma LookBoonmee has some impressive kicks, fast kicks. She's the Muay Thai background. She's 3-0 in her last three. Okay. She has good competition, though. She's fought Angela Hill, Sam Hughes, Lupita Godinez. She has a good. She's fought some good competition. In her last three, she's 3-0. Like I said, she is smaller though. She has developed somewhat of a wrestling in in her career, but I don't think that's enough to fight Alicia Thainara. I think Alicia's just gonna be able to get her down. She's a stronger, bigger woman. She's gonna be able to get her down. I think she's gonna submit her just like she did to Molly McCann. On to the next one. We got Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Vieira. Navajo Sterling, 6'4", 79-inch reach. I feel like he fights out of city kickboxing too as well. I feel like since Navajo Sterling's been in the UFC, I've been waiting for him to be impressive. I mean, he's 2-0. You know, he has that. You know, he fought Oban, Ellison, Tuco Tocos, and they just weren't impressive wins. Like, he's very athletic, physical specimen. You could see it. You know, like I said, he has that kickboxing background. I'm waiting for some knockouts in the UFC, man. You know, he's very calculated with his striking. He's not trying to swarm or overwhelm or let his hands go enough, in my opinion. I mean, he'll throw some combinations. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like, let your hands go, man. You should be finishing Ivan Urslan or Tuco Tocos, in my opinion. You know, but I mean, he has KOs outside of the UFC, but I haven't seen anything impressive in the UFC yet. And same thing with Rodolfo Vieira. Now, actually, that's a lie. Rodolfo, when he fought Jimmy Crute, he got dropped badly. I thought that they were going to just stop the fight right there in the first round, and was able to work his way back in the round and win the second and third, and it was a draw. The fight ended in a draw because Jimmy Crute got a 10-8 in the first round. Rodolfo he had some KOs. He KO'd Io Preterio, but who hasn't? Who hasn't? He fought Paul Craig, and I don't think the fight continued. The first fight they had to reschedule because he had a herpes outbreak. I don't mean to put your business out there, man, but that's weird, dude. That's so weird. Uh, but I can understand why they would cancel the fight because of that. So, anyways, who am I gonna pick in this one? Navajo Sterling or Rodolfo? I think Navajo is gonna be boring, like he has been in his first two fights. He's gonna pick his shots. He's gonna just stay defensive, not get hit. I think he's gonna win a decision victory over Rodolfo Bellato. Rodolfo does have some power. He has some grappling ability, but I don't think it's enough to beat a Navajo Sterling. On to the next. Louie Sutherland versus Justin Tafa. Okay, so Louie Sutherland's coming over from LFA. Both of these guys are fat. Very, very fat. This guy, Louie Sutherland, is a giant human being. I watched him fight. God, what was the guy's name? I think it was like Mutasalam. Mutasalam. Dos Santos. And I've never seen a slower, more pathetic looking takedown in my life. It was bad, man. It looked horrible. And he goes in on a takedown and he gets it, which is why I'm going to pick him to beat Justin Tafa, because Justin Tafa can't. I think a piece of wind can blow him over. Like, honestly, Justin Tafa is. I don't even understand how he's still in the UFC. Him and his brother, they can't wrestle. They can't defend a takedown. They don't even try to defend a takedown. I don't think they've ever practiced takedown defense in their entire lives. Right? So I think Louie Sutherland's going to win it, even though that was the most pathetic takedown attempt I've ever seen. I couldn't believe what I watched. How slow. Please go watch him fight Mutasalam Dos Santos, and you will see. It was the third round. Let's go to the third round. It was like early in the third round. He got a takedown, and I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god. I don't even listen. I was like, the only thing I was looking for was, okay, can this guy somewhat grapple? Because if he can, he's gonna beat Justin Tafa. And so I was looking for that. And you know, because a piece of wind can take Justin Tafa down, I'm gonna pick him. But that was the most disgusting, disturbing take. I don't. It was so slow that it just made me feel like I just had to get up and take a walk. It was just bad, man. I don't know. Watching a professional athlete. Oh my god, you fat shit cat. But anyways, yes, I'm gonna pick Louie Sutherland to win this fight. On to the next, we got Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. This is going to be the fight of the night. I'm very excited for this fight. Very, very excited. Both very good strikers. The only difference is Charlie Campbell has take up KO power. Tom Nolan's is rangy. Um, we did see him get knocked out by Nicholas Mota badly, and I could see him getting knocked out in this fight, but not before he has a very interesting fight against Tom Nolan. Very good kicking game. Um, I saw him fight Borichev, and he was using his kicks masterfully. You know, so I do think it's going to be a back and forth striking battle until I think Charlie Campbell will eventually catch him. I'm going to say early third round. He's going to catch him and put him away because Charlie Campbell has some amazing boxing. Now, we saw him in one of the crazier fights versus Trevor Peek, the GOAT, by the way. If you didn't know, Trevor Peek is the GOAT of the sport. It was a great, great back and forth fight. Both guys were throwing. The only difference was Charlie Campbell was way more precise and technical with his striking ability versus Trevor Peek, who just throws haymakers and crazy standing hammer fists and just wild, unorthodox strikes. It was fun though. It was fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, that was a fun fight to watch. Um, but yeah, I think that Charlie Campbell in this fight, he's the better boxer. They have similar reach. Tom Nolan's is 3 inches taller, but I think that Charlie Campbell's going to be able to use his footwork to get inside and land something that puts Tom Nolan away. It will be the fight of the night, though, in my opinion. Before that happens, um, you know, Charlie Campbell does have a good kicks, good leg kicks. He mixes it up well. We saw him styling on Chris Duncan until he wasn't. If you know, you know. He was styling on Buddy until he was not. He got woken up. But he was styling on Buddy until that happened. So I'm going to pick Charlie Campbell by KO in this fight. It will be the fight of the night for the millionth time. I'm going to say it for the millionth time. It'll be the fight of the night. On to the next. Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. This is the hardest fight to pick, in my opinion. I don't know. Jay Boxing's a good boxer. We saw what he did with Tachidi in Jaquanu. He's looked really good in his last 3 fights, man. Um, he was even in the Chidi fight. He was eating some front kicks early, you know. Um, but he's looked good in his last 3 wins over Francisco Prado, Phil Rowe. Phil Rowe, who's a very good boxer. And you know what? Jake Matthews has like 6 submission victories in his career, in his UFC career. He choked out Chidi and Jaquanu. So, you know, it'll be interesting if this fight goes to the ground. Now, Neil Magny, the GOAT of the sport, the GOAT of the division. My bad. He's the middleweight GOAT, guys. He really is. I mean, he has the most wins in middleweight history. I think 23, right? Um, he had a very impressive showing versus Zaleski dos Antos. Finished him by ground and pound. He's done that before. Mike Malott. He's able to use his length and range very good. Flattens guys out, and he's able to just rain down good ground and pound. We saw him get a Darce choke on D-Rod as well. Um, you know, Neil Magny's been finished a lot, but that's by elite. Elite. Both of these guys, Jake Matthews and Neil Magny, got finished by Marlon Morales. Who, by the way, where is Marlon Morales? Get him a fight. Get him into octagon immediately. The guy is the dark horse of this division, the most slept on fighter in this division. Why is he not fighting? When was his last fight? I have to look it up. But it's probably sometime earlier this year. But either way, he needs to get back in the ring. Marlon Morales. Very high on that guy. So back to the fight though. This is a tough one to pick, man. I really don't know because I think Neil Magny uses his range and his length very well, but Jake Matthews has good boxing. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Neil Magny, man. Right? This is a tough fight to pick, guys. I don't know. Is Neil Magny going to clinch him up on the fence and do nothing the entire fight? Somehow maybe get him on the ground and land some ground and pound or get a submission? I think the range, the length and range of Neil Magny will be too much for Jake Matthews. That's what I'm going to say. So I'm going to put Neil Magny to win this fight by by decision? By decision, yeah. We'll just go and say the decision. Jimmy Crute versus Yvonne Urslan. Um, Now Jimmy Crute, we saw him beat one of the greats of the sport, Paul Craig. Um, so that was very impressive. He had a wild fight versus Rodolfo Bellato. Um, I think I had him, and I picked him versus Martin Prachnau in his last fight. But either way, he beat Martin Prachnau. Now he's fought some names too. I mean, he lost to Jamal Hill, Alonzo Manifield, but Ivan Urslan's 0-2. He's not very good, you know. Ian Kutalabo's dropping him all over the place. I mean, you could say he has a striking advantage versus Jimmy Crute, but I mean, does he really? He's not very fast twitch. I think Jimmy Crute's gonna submit him. I'm gonna pick Jimmy Crute by second round submission over Ivan Urslan. On to the next one: Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares. I think that this fight comes down to Ramon being the better boxer, the slicker boxer. Now, Jack Jenkins has some really good kicks. He was chewing up Chepe's legs, before Chepe KO'd him. He beat Herbert Jones. You know, those leg kicks were just so savage. Gabriel Santos beat him, but he landed a vicious head kick versus Gabriel Santos. You know what? This might be the fight of the night. There's going to be two fights competing for fight of the night. This is going to be a good fight. Nah, I'm not going to say. I'm going to say the first fight I picked was Charlie Campbell, and yeah, I'm going to stay with that one. But this is going to be a very good fight. It's going to be a very, very good fight because Ramon, like I said, I think Ramon's just a slicker. He's slicker on the feet. Versus Sergey City, he has good lateral movement. He was doing something very interesting. He was circling off, pulling Sergey City, and then switch stances to get off his boxing combinations. Throw Sergey City off and get off his boxing combinations. Very, very slick movement. Very, very slick boxing. We did see Davy Grant beat him. Davy Grant dropped him as well. Or did he drop Davy Grant? I think he dropped Davy Grant. Yeah. Yeah, he dropped Davy Grant in that fight, which is impressive. Davy Grant's good. But I do think that this is going to come down to Ramon being the more the slicker striker. I think. This one's a hard one to pick too, man. Yeah, I'm going to go with Ramon. Ramon Tavares by decision. Unless he gets caught with a head kick or something like that. But I'm going to go with Ramon Tavares by decision. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. On to the next. Now we are at the main event of the evening. Is Dominick Reyes going to show Carlos Ulberg how to be an exciting fighter? Is he going to show him? So Dominick Reyes, listen, the guy has real KO power. Dropped Nikita Krylov with a jab, and then KO'd him on the cage badly on a counter. I think he landed a counter left. He KO'd Anthony Smith. He beat the shit out of Justin Jacoby. So he's been like on a resurgence in his last three. Yeah, he's been in there with a lot of good high level competition. Obviously, John Jones, which a lot of people, including myself, thought he won. I really thought he was gonna get his hands raised in that fight. Dominick Reyes is a very good counterpuncher. Um, but the thing is, he doesn't take damage well. Now, Jan Blachowicz landed one body kick, and his body was like transformed. The biggest welt on the side of his ribs I've ever seen. Yuri Prohaska landed that spinning elbow, but he was touching Yuri though in that fight until that happened. We saw him get knocked out by Ryan Spann. So it seems like Dominick Reyes is on somewhat of a resurgence in his career. I mean, he looks very, very good in his last three. Very good in the last three. But I do think this is a major step up in competition. I do think the guy that he's fighting, has been on a roll, man. We saw him get that early KO versus Alonzo Menifil. Now, Alonzo Menifil was, and I'm bringing that up for a specific reason. He's not very smart. How do he blitzes in on a guy with countering ability in Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg is going to stand outside. He's going to pepper you up with his jab and his leg kick, and he's going to run around the ring for the entire fight. And if you blitz in like an idiot, like Alonzo Menifil, he'll counter you. So that's what I'm afraid might happen. I think he's going to be the better fighter at range versus Dominick Reyes, and I see Dominick Reyes maybe getting frustrated by that and attempting to blitz in, and then that happens, and then he gets clipped with something, and you know. Um. Now, one thing I will say is that if Carlos Ulberg becomes predictable with his striking at range and his footwork, because I'm not gonna sit here and say Dominick Reyes has cardio issue. We've seen him go the distance with John Jones, the quote unquote GOAT, right? We've seen him go the distance with them. So I don't think he has a cardio issue, and if Carlos Ulberg, I can see if he starts becoming predictable or slowing down or something like that, I do see Dominick Reyes maybe catching him with a counter or setting something up to catch him. But I'm gonna say, listen, if Carlos Ulberg stays disciplined, sticks to the game plan, we're gonna see another boring decision victory for him, unfortunately, or he's gonna catch him with something and KO him because Dominick Reyes' chin is, like I said, is very questionable. I mean, Ryan Spann is knocking you out, bro. Now we know Ryan Spann has a lot of power actually, and a lot of athletic ability. He's just not smart. Yuri Prohaska knocked you out. Jan knocked you out too as well. So his chin isn't the best. So I am worried about that too. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Carlos Orberg staying at range, doing what he does best, avoiding close combat, just being in and out, being better laterally, being on the back foot, and then if he wins this fight, I mean, he could be next, man. I mean, the top five has been cleared out by pretty much both Magomed and Alex. Now, let me think about Magomed. He's fought Rakic. He hasn't fought Jamal Hill, but Jamal Hill's he needs to recover. I think he's lost a couple in a row. Um, he hasn't fought Yuri. That would be a interest. That would be a fun fight. That'd be a really fun fight. That's probably what would be next if Yuri gets an impressive victory. Um, yeah. Okay, no. So both guys still have some wins. I think Carlos Ulberg, if he doesn't get an impressive victory in this fight, he could get skipped over. He could get skipped over depending on how Yuri's next fight goes. And hold on here. Let me just double check something on the cellular. Gosh darn it. Right. So, anyways, as I was saying, yeah, I think that if Khalil Roundtree or Yuri Prohaska has an impressive showing in their next fight, one of them could skip Carlos Ulberg and get the fight versus Magomed or Alex. Now, if Alex wins, that makes it more interesting because that's when I think Carlos Ulberg would definitely get it over Yuri because Yuri's already lost twice to Alex. And Khalil Roundtree just got brutalized versus Alex as well. So I think that if Carlos Ulberg wins this fight and Alex wins, then we'll see Carlos Ulberg fighting next. But I do think that if Magomed wins again, I do think that we'll be seeing um, the more exciting victory get the shot. Like if Yuri wins by knockout or if Khalil wins by knockout, I can see them getting it over Carlos Ulberg. As it should be, because Carlos Ulberg is boring as shit, man. Hopefully this is a fun fight, man. But I can't see anything but Carlos Ulberg out there just being on the back foot and yeah, just peppering up Dominick Reyes and just winning that way. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Until next time, it's your boy MMA Mechanic. Like, comment, share, subscribe, bell icon, all above. Until next time.